So I realized we went live and I only have half a cup of coffee.
I've finished my tea.
Oh well. But I'm back in my spot.
I've got no tea left. Okay. Yes, you're back.
Yes, construction has been delayed because I got called to go do all those translations, which was a fun experience. It was cool. I felt bad for the Thai. I felt bad for the Thai interpreters.
Yeah,
because it was 3:00 in the morning for them after having worked a full day. They were kind of going 24 hours a day for 4 days.
I'm sure they've been well compensated for their time.
Yes, they have.
That's good news.
So, what are we talking about today? Social proof.
On day 19 of our 31-day challenge, we're talking about
social proof.
Ooh, yes.
Why your conference or event actually needs some, because social proof is a thing.
It's an important thing.
Yes, and for anyone who does not know what social proof is, it's if you have ever gone to a website or software as a service, whatever product, and you see our customers include and you see the logos, that's social proof. If somebody writes you a testimonial, that's social proof.
Social proofing is when somebody says, when you ask somebody, I need to get something to sort out my problem, and they say, have you heard about the service that Fred's doing? That's really amazing. Right, that's social proof.
Yeah. So, I did about 14 seconds of research before the episode because of Google. And 83% of consumers recommend a brand they follow on social media. That's pretty big.
If you think about it, that's why some companies spend an absolute fortune on Facebook. They plaster it with these well-made and well-constructed and well-thought-out Facebook pages.
Yes.
And, you think, wow, that must have cost an absolute fortune. Well, it's why, because they see the brand on Facebook, everybody's talking about it, everybody's just attracted to it.
And there are a couple other stats here before we dive into the different types of social proof that you can do.
Yes.
One of it, 91% of shoppers read the reviews. Now, is your conference or event going to have a review somewhere? I don't know, but that's pretty telling.
Yeah, it is. I must say, it's something I do. I'd rather, if I can't get something locally, then I'll go to Amazon. That's my default position. But even if I'm going into a shop to buy something like a gadget or a new tool or something I need, I will do some research online first. I will read reviews and then you can pick out what you think is important from what other people have done with it. So, for example, that nice fancy gimbal I've got for my smartphone, I looked at YouTube videos to see what people's reactions were, whether they liked it, whether they hated it. Is it actually going to be suitable for what I want to use it for? And on the whole, I found it really helpful. And therefore, I could then go off and buy it. No, I've got a hard chance of actually picking the right thing.
Yeah. And then here's the last one that kind of blew me away, because why it was only Americans. It just said 82% of Americans. And I'm like, okay, everything else here you have here is global. Why is this one just Americans? But 82% of Americans actually ask for recommendations when they're looking for something. and I think that this is actually something that's really important for conferences and events, because I'll be having a conversation with someone and it will at some point turn into, oh, what events are you going to this year? Right. And then you listen to what they say. Oh, I don't go to, I'm going to IMEX in Frankfurt. I love that show, but I'm not going to this show because it's gone downhill. Right. So that's important too.
Yeah. I mean, you could almost say that social proofing is like the word of mouth. Who thinks something's good and who thinks something's awful?
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like social proof is like the fancy word for what does your best friend say?
Actually, social proof is fancy for, is it good or not?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. If you're going to really boil it down. Yeah. Yeah. So, what's the current trend?
So let's dive into the different types of social proof. And we're actually saving probably the most important one for last, because we actually have a cool tool snuck into this episode. Uh,
Yes.
so, types of social proof. Number one is going to be case studies. And
I think they're really cool because I don't think enough people are doing them.
no,
I really don't.
no, and a lot of like meeting and event people are going to go, well, what the hell? I think going to do case study about an attendee. No, but you can certainly do a case study about an exhibitor or sponsor. And case in point, years and years and years ago, many, many moons, I worked for the National Restaurant Association. I sold booth space. And we had a guy that came in, and it took him a month to buy a 10 by 10 because he was a little guy, and this was a huge investment for him. And I'm not a pushy type salesperson, so I kind of walked him through, and we looked at the floor, and spaces were selling, and finally he decided to go ahead and pull the trigger, and he got that
Yeah.
booth space. The next year, he had such a great show with that 10 by 10. The next year he went up to a 10 by 20. And as far as I know, or the last time I checked anyway, he was actually still exhibiting and growing with the show. If there's anything that's the perfect case study.
That would be great to document and interviews and stuff. I was just thinking, you said not may not be for attendees. However, you could
Huh?
select certain attendees. For example, you could have once the show is over and done with, you could actually do a follow-up email. Thank you for attending the show. Your feedback's brilliant. Could you tell us about your experience? And then if you've got if somebody replies back in that survey, in that feedback form, you could say, actually, this is rather interesting because they came without this thing, and they've built up and they've gained experience, they've gained better business because of it. They've found a rewarding experience, and they explain why. You could actually then use that as a case study.
Yeah. Or students, excuse me.
Yes.
You have students that attend every event. Most associations have whatever to attract students.
Yeah.
Student case study would be amazing as well. Like how did coming to your conference or event help this student later in their career? It could be a 5 years after kind of thing, right, where you go back and you look at it.
That's kind of, yeah. So the next one on the list is awards and accolades.
And this one may or may not apply to a lot of conferences and events, but if your conference has ever won an award, don't leave it sitting on a shelf. Let everybody know.
Oh, definitely.
If accolades, let's say there is some governing body in your world that rates all of the industry conferences, and you came in number one. And why not share that?
When we talk about awards and accolades, I suspect we're not talking about the ones that it's a big sort of open award ceremony, but because I've heard that a lot of these awards, people have paid to be on the finalist list.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if you're going to brag about your award, please make it like a natural, organic kind of thing, as opposed to something
Although
you've paid for.
I will tell you, the average American, anyway. So here we go with the Americans. Doesn't look too deep into anything. So if you did pay to be on the top 10 or something, and it just says top 10, whatever, no one's checking.
I suppose no. At the end of the day, nobody is. But it just seems a bit more natural and a bit more of a brag if you're saying we were in the top 10, and then later on somebody says,
But you
"Yeah,
paid for it.
but you paid for that." Which means that I could actually say that my own site is award winning simply because I've just paid somebody else to say it's award winning. It's just a whole rabbit hole we can go down at another time.
So tomorrow I'll come up with one and I'll give you an award.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much.
There you go. All right, your current customer base. So how does your current customer base become social proof? You see it a lot with software as a service, right? Again, you land on that page and you see our customers include, and then you see that big line of logos. I do not understand why more conferences and events don't do this. Why don't you have the logos or names of all of the companies, organizations that are attending your event. It's that is amazing social proof.
Would it be the case of pay to display?
No, no, that's
Because
then you sponsor.
yeah, I'm just saying because really, if you're looking for social proof and you really want people to think well of you, oh look at all these great people who are working with this company or this event, you, just say, well, just give us your images and we'll just put them on the bottom of our website. That's who we work with, because that is the reward in itself, not necessarily having receive financial compensation for putting an image on a web page. You know what I mean? No, you're looking blank.
Kind
That's
of.
not good. No, I mean, the thing is, right, you got exhibitors and you got sponsors, and they kind of get their logos on the website, so we're taking part in it. But the thing is, that's those. Why not take the logos and banners from people who haven't paid to be a sponsor or anything? These are the people who are attending. These are.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
that's what
be
I'm
more
talking.
inclusive,
Yeah,
by saying, instead of just saying if you don't pay, you're not going to be
yeah,
seen.
yeah. Totally. Yeah, and it would be in a totally different spot anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about, which is quite likely.
um,
Okay.
next, integrations and partners. Now, there aren't too many conferences and events that have integrations. Again, that's a software thing. But we all have partners, and our partners' logos can say a lot about us. So, for example, if you are here in Chicago and your event is taking place at McCormick Place and your headquarter hotel is the Hilton and you have their logos on, that is a much better indicator of what the caliber and quality of your event is than if you were at the a rinky dink convention center and your headquarter hotel was the Best Western. Right. It's the two that says a lot about your event.
Yeah. Well,
It's a
yeah. I mean, having big names on your, it always helps.
Yes. Well, and that actually, especially good for new events, right? If your event is maybe in its first year, and we've done had a number of clients where it was their first year, those are the types of things you have to do for social proof because you don't have that history. You don't have
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
People want to know that you're legit. You're not just not something you're not going to pop up, take everybody's money, and close before it ever happens.
Very true. UGC.
User generated content. And that is a fancy way to say if somebody tweets something nice about your event, retweet it because that's social proof.
Yes. And actually, as you've mentioned, it's Twitter. When you do the retweet with a quote,
Yep.
and then tag the original author of that tweet in the quote part of the retweet. So if Fred Blogs has tweeted, love this event, it went really, really well, great contacts, great organization. You retweet it by saying, don't put their name first. Go, thanks very much to @FredBlogs for saying this. It's most kind. We really appreciate it, and we're glad you can make it to our event.
Boom.
Because if you put the by starting off with thank you, you're not making sure it's visible to everybody. If you start off with @FredBlogs, thank you very much, then you're aiming at only at Fred Blogs, and it
Yeah.
widens it out. It's a tweet trick. So,
Well, and then, a lot of people never realize how many people actually talk about their events. And, there was one year, we have a client in an industry that really it's just a B2B thing. You wouldn't expect people to write about it. And that year, I think one or two people actually wrote posts on their company, this is what we learned at whatever this year. Right? That's a little bit longer form, but than a tweet, but that's amazing, right? So you've got to keep an eye out. You have to keep your ear to the tracks to see what's coming down the pike, right? Who has posted about you on their website, who has written an article about you, did you get covered in the news, those types of things to share, because even the news, by the way, is user generated content, right? It's just done
Yeah,
in professional. A
yeah.
professional did it.
I think again the beauty of so if somebody's written some blog posts, or a bunch of people have written blog posts about the event, and they're of a positive nature, like I had a really good time, my business taking off because of all that sort of thing. Obviously, your social media team can step in and retweet it all by and sharing out the love. This is brilliant. Thank you so much to @FredBlog for doing. But you can also, on your own blog, you can actually have a summary of all the great things that people have been saying about our website, or about our events, and about our meeting or conference. And then you can link out to them all, and you give becomes just a summary of what people have been saying about it.
Yeah, for a lot of our events, we do on the final day, we actually do we'll do a slideshow, right? The photographer gets us all the pictures, we dump it in, and we just put pictures up that go. One of the things we've actually started to do is go and grab tweets and Facebook posts and Instagram posts and put those in there as well, because that's pretty cool, right? It takes
Yeah.
it takes that final day little slideshow and kind of boost it up a little bit. It makes it a little bit more, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but the thing is, if you could identify the people who are writing the blog posts, or tweeting and doing that sort of thing for you, your user generated content, you could actually invite some of them to write a blog post for your company's blog, or perhaps appear in a video. But we'll get to that later on in the list.
Yes. And then the next one is my least favorite form of social proof. I despise influencer marketing.
Okay. Would you like to expand on that, or should we just gloss
No,
over and move on?
go ahead, because you actually did make a point about micro influencers.
Okay. So when we talk about influencers, what's still stuck in people's head are the people who are famous simply because they've got a lot of following. Famous for no other reason that they're famous. And that's like celebrities, people with a million followers. Oh, they are big time influencers, but there's also micro influencers, people who have a smaller following, 1,000, 2,000, 5, 10,000, who are still saying really good things, and they are being influential within their niche, whatever you like to, within their small sphere of influence. So yes, influencers in general might be a problem that you haven't yet explained, or
It just always seemed so.
I know, but the thing is, if you've got an influencer, micro influencer, somebody with a very small following who people are taking notice of, it can be useful if you do it right, but only if you do it right. And I think you've seen far too much of it being done wrong.
Yeah. Whenever I think of an influencer marketing, I always think of something like the Kardashians, right? Or I cannot believe we mentioned their name on this show. The Kardashians, or used car salesmen, right? That's the vibe I get from influencer marketing, which paying someone to say something nice about me is not. I just have always had a problem with that.
Yeah, I think that's what it really comes down to, is the fact that without everybody knows it, without saying it, that people like the Kardashians and all the rest of it, they're being paid. So how trustworthy is their view of any particular product? Please don't make me say that word again, beginning with a K.
I will. All right, we can get it on that hole on.
All right. Okay, I'm going to wash my mouth out later. Anyway,
so now we're up to the meat of this thing, right? The two things, and let's actually keep that one in between bullet point there, because I kind of think we already covered that in the other ones, and let's go right to the meat of this. And the biggest form of social proof, or the most important form of social proof, for any conference, event, association, for anybody, the biggest form of social proof is testimonials from existing clients, attendees, whatever you want to call them, members. Um, you get more out of that than out of all of the other ones. Probably.
So there's as noted is the during. Actually, no, there's three phases if you think about it. And social media, especially Twitter, is very good for this. So with any event, there's the before, the during, and the after.
Yep.
The during is all the before is all the people who turned up last year who can't wait to attend again. And they can create quite a bit of buzz. They really can. So
Yeah, I'll even add to that one and say that's spot on. And then you can also add, because I've seen this on a couple of different, not on all events, but on a couple of events,
yeah,
first timers who are excited to go to the event.
this is going to be my first time, and I can't wait to go and experience whatever.
We've got one client that it is a B2B brand, but it elicits that kind of Comic-Con. People get really excited to go.
Yeah.
So you do get a lot of that on social media. I'll be watching before, a couple weeks before the event, and how many people are actually on there. That's my first time. I can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So that's the before. Then there's during the event where we're having such a good time. You really ought to be here.
Well, and this is where it pays for an organization to have people that are looking to gather testimonials while the event's going on, right?
As in aiming a camera in their face. Say, talk about your experience. How much are you enjoying this?
For
Now,
people,
there's only going to be very few people who are going to go, well, this is actually awful. I'm never coming again. That doesn't happen, thankfully. That rarely happens. So everybody just wants to say how much a good time they're having. So
yes.
share it. Then there's the after the event, which can be done with, you can just do a simple, like a WordPress-based form, SurveyMonkey, whatever,
You're
as
going to
a
be
follow-up email.
So in this, is there anything we can share? Right?
Yeah.
Tell us
How was your experience? We would love to share this with our rest of our team and perhaps with the rest of the world. Please click here if you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. And then this is where we get to the
So
good
this
part.
is where we make life nice and easy for you with our cool tool. My
So,
mouse is asleep. There we go.
so the cool tool that we've got for today, which kind of goes along with all the social proof, is a wonderful. I'll make it sound like
I'm going for you to drum roll.
A really cool product called ShoutOut.
Yes.
Which allows you to capture social proof testimonials simply.
Yes, and from the comfort of the person's own device.
Yeah. So basically, what this is a tool that you go in and you build a template. It is right with your branding and things like that, and then you can send it to people via an email. It's a link, and then they click the link, and then they go, and then they can record a video. They can type, right, or they can do audio. They can do it one of three ways, and then this tool will then combine it with your other graphic assets. So logos, if you have a motion graphic at the beginning, right, any of that, it'll put it all together, and then out the other end, it'll spit out a complete cool social proof testimonial ready to go. One of the cool things is, and sorry, I'm not even letting you talk because I love this thing. You can do it with a QR code, where you can just have it creates a QR code, which at the event you can put it on a meter board, or you can put it on whatever. And so people can just use the QR code and record it themselves.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. A nice service that doesn't tie up your own staff too much, if at all. And can be used during and after, because you can send links in a follow-up email. We'd like to hear about your experiences. Would you like to leave a testimonial? Click this link. And doing it, as you say, you could have a big board up somewhere near the entrance or maybe near the exit or something. Don't forget to leave us your thoughts. Scan this QR code and record your thoughts.
Yeah, and the cool thing about ShoutOut is for a lot of products, they never think about meetings or events or conferences, things like that. These guys actually understand it, and so they actually have that's actually one of their features, right? And their idea is actually to use this product, which is meant for capturing social proof and testimonials, in other ways. So you can actually send it to speakers and have speakers record um social proof type things, come in, see me at this event, right? Which you can share before the event, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, because if you can get the speakers to actually share it, you can then your company, your social media team, can just retweet it all,
Right.
which is brilliant.
Really.
Because then it will be more, it will sound more authentic and more natural because the speaker's done it, not you haven't pinned them down and made them record anything. It's going to be more natural because they've done it at their own pace, at their own chosen location, and it's just going to be so much nicer.
Yeah. So definitely a really cool tool to use. The website for this one, you can Google ShoutOut. I'm sure it'll work. But because Shout over here in the US is a laundry detergent thing,
All
and
right,
their ad is actually ShoutOut, I think. Shout gets it out or whatever. It
right.
is shoutout.social is their
Yes.
URL.
Yes, obviously we'll put the link in the show notes.
So
So no
boom,
problem.
there you go. And look,
Another one done.
we're back to 30 minutes now that I'm not on the translation trail.
Yes, really, really cool. Yeah, good tool. Do check it out. There are various options available for signing up and subscribing. So do check it all out. And if you are using it, let us know how you're getting on. If you're not going to use it, then
I don't
tell
care.
us. No,
I
okay, we don't care if you're not using it. Okay.
don't-
If you are using it, then send us a testimonial. Anyway,
Anyway, so find us at bullet-list.com.
he's straight in there.
I do.
It's really cool. And on Facebook.
I got to make sure that I get the URL in there.
Yeah. It's like your only job.
Well, tell them where else they can find us.
Well, I was starting to. Anyway, we're on Facebook group. You'll find the bullet list where you can come and join us, leave a message, tell us what we're getting right, probably tell us what we're getting wrong.
No, because I don't care.
I do. Forget Keith. Just I'll care.
All right.
I'm like that. And also, of course, updates, timings, and stuff. When we're able to do it, we will put updates on the event planner news page and also on the Planner Wire page. Now, tomorrow is Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow we're probably meeting Planner Music Club. We're going to talk about some tunes.
Yes. And we'll tell you more about the plans for the music club tomorrow, which will be day 20 tomorrow. Cool, eh?
So, see you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I'm free.